Have you noticed how hard it's becoming to feel fully at ease in the world right now? Especially as a mom? Not just because of what's happening out there, but because of how it's starting to feel inside of you. More alert, more watchful, less settled than you used to be. And even when everything looks fine on the surface, there's still that underlying question: what kind of world is my child growing up in? If you felt this, you're not imagining it. Recent events across different parts of the world have quietly brought many of us to a place of deeper reflection about how systems operate, about whether our children are truly protected, and about how much is actually within our control. You're doing your best to stay calm, to stay present, but underneath it all, something doesn't feel right, and no one is really explaining why. Today, we will discuss how to stay steady and grounded because you're not imagining it and you're not alone. In many ancient traditions, there's an idea that time moves in cycles, and within those cycles, there are different phases, some more balanced and some more uncertain. In Hindu cosmology, this current phase is called the Kali Yuga, often described as the final age, sometimes referred to as the Iron Age or the Dark Age. Not because everything is dark, but because clarity becomes harder to hold. The real challenge we face isn't what's happening out there, it's learning how to stay grounded within it. Kali Yuga is often described as a time when truth gets mixed with manipulation. Leadership loses integrity. Status becomes more valued than wisdom, and distraction becomes constant. This is not about collapse, but distortion, not darkness, but fog. And you've probably felt this fog too. Those moments after scrolling or watching the news when you feel just heavy, uncertain, disconnected, like you don't even know what to believe anymore. I noticed this myself recently. I was out with my 3-year-old and she wanted to cross the road on her own. I responded quickly, too stern, more than what that moment required. And afterwards, I caught myself thinking, was that really about safety? Or was I carrying the same underlying tension, the same fog into how I was responding to her? This is not random. This is what Kali Yuga feels like from inside. It shows up in how we feel and then quietly shapes how we respond. And if you're not aware of it, we can pass that same confusion and tension into the way we speak, react, and guide our children. The purpose of this knowledge isn't to scare you, it's to help realign you. Because in a time like this, we can lose our focus to the detriment of our families. In Hindu tradition, there's this idea that even as the world moves through confusion, wisdom is never truly lost. It's preserved, carried forward, protected through what are known as the Chiranjeevis, 7 immortal beings said to have existed since the beginning of time, not bound by a single lifetime, but remaining on earth through ages as quiet watchers and guardians of knowledge. Each of them is said to embody a different quality, a way of staying aligned even in uncertain times. Legends say they are still here, quietly witnessing, not interfering, but ensuring that dharma, which is the natural sense of what is right, what is balanced, what keeps life in alignment, is never completely forgotten. You don't have to take that literally, but you can feel what it points to. That even in the fog, there are qualities you can hold on to: devotion, courage, discipline, integrity, wisdom. So, where does that leave us as moms? Because if this is an age of confusion, then our role isn't to control the world, it's to create clarity within it. And that starts closer than we think. Before school, before social media, before outside influence, our child is learning to see the world through us. How we respond, how we handle stress, what we give our attention to. That becomes your blueprint. So our role isn't small, it's foundational. Think of this like this: you're walking through a fog with a small lantern. You can't see everything, but you can see your next step. And right now, that's enough. So you don't need to figure everything out. You just need to stay steady in the step you're taking, because that steadiness is what your child will see and learn. There's a powerful Hindu prophecy about Kalki. It's described in the Puranas as the final avatar of God Vishnu, who is regarded as the preserver within the cosmic trinity cycle of creation, preservation, and dissolution. It's said that Kalki appears at the end of Kali Yuga, a time when disorder has reached its peak, when truth has eroded and moral clarity has disappeared. Ancient texts describe Kalki as the final incarnation of Vishnu, the preserver, appearing at the end of Kali Yuga. He is described as arriving on a white horse with a blazing sword, not simply to fight, but to restore order, reset the cycle, and re establish dharma, the natural sense of what is right, what is balanced, what keeps life in alignment. This is often understood as a kind of final reckoning, a moment where disorder can no longer sustain itself. Now, whether you take this literally or symbolically, what matters is what it points to. Because Kalki's sword is often interpreted as a symbol, not just of force, but of clarity. The ability to cut through illusion, to separate what is true from what only appears to be. And in a time like this, that becomes highly relevant. Because the challenge isn't always what is happening in the world, it's being able to see clearly what is real and what isn't, to recognize what is true, even when everything feels confusing. So you don't have to wait for a moment in time. You can understand this as a pattern: the return of discernment, the restoration of clarity, the point where confusion stops leading your decisions. And this isn't something distant. It's showing up in everyday moments. The moment you pause instead of reacting. The moment you choose what is true over what is easy. The moment you stay steady instead of getting pulled into fear or noise. This is discernment. This is clarity. And as a mom, this is not small, because our ability to see clearly shapes how our children learn to see the world. What's interesting is this isn't just said in one tradition. In biblical texts, there are descriptions of a time where people become lovers of self, lovers of money, without self control. The word apocalypse comes from the Greek word apocalypsis, meaning to uncover or to reveal. In scripture, particularly in the book of Revelations, it refers to a period where hidden truths are brought to light, where deception is exposed, systems are tested, and what is false can no longer remain concealed. Where what is hidden, whether in systems or in people, begins to surface. So it's not simply about destruction, It's about disclosure, the revealing of what was always there but was not fully seen. Let's make this practical. Imagine something happening at your child's school: bullying, exclusion, gossip. You can't control the whole system, but you can influence what's within your reach. By speaking calmly to a teacher, by guiding your child with empathy and courage, by modeling steadiness in moments that feel uncomfortable. These actions matter. They shape your child, they influence others, they ripple further than you'll see. You don't need to fix the age, and you don't need to figure everything out. You just need to stay clear where you are. Here are three simple things you can start doing today. Protect your attention. Not everything deserves access to your mind. Create small pockets of calm. Even a few quiet moments matter. Pause before reacting, because that pause, that's where clarity lives. Children don't learn clarity from what we say. They learn it from how we live, from how we respond when things feel uncertain. So maybe this era isn't about collapse. Maybe it's about exposure. And exposure is uncomfortable, but it's also necessary. You don't need to solve everything. You just need to stay steady within it, because your calm matters, your clarity matters, and the way you show up each day quietly shapes the world your child grows into. Take a deep breath with me. Inhale, exhale. Protect what is sacred, guard what is innocent. And remember, the way we see the world becomes the world our child learns to live in. If this episode gave you something to hold on to, please come back for the next one. I'm Shelly Dalival, and this is the Kali Yuga Compass.